In this one, we're getting into all that food wisdom we get from our families, especially in Indian households. We're going to use a little science, a little history, and figure out what's fact and what's fiction. And trust me, some of this might actually surprise you.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That one piece of advice from your mom or your grandma, something you've just always done without even thinking about it. But what if some of that well-meaning advice is, well, just plain wrong? Let's dig in.
All right, so here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with myths about our kitchen gadgets. Then we're gonna tackle the whole superfood scam. After that, we'll look at whether our ancestors really had the perfect diet. And finally, we'll connect it all back to the history that's literally on our plates.
Okay, first up, kitchen technology myths. We're starting right where the action is, the kitchen. There's so much fear and misinformation out there about our everyday appliances, so let's just cut through all that noise and find out what's real.
So let's talk about public enemy number one in the kitchen, the microwave. Seriously, it gets blamed for everything, right? It's a nutrient killer. It causes cancer. But what does the science actually say? Is it a villain, or is it secretly a kitchen hero?
Okay, let's get a little nerdy for a second, but I promise it's simple. There are two types of radiation. The scary kind is ionizing radiation, like X-rays. That's high-energy stuff that can mess with your DNA. But microwaves, they're non-ionizing. They have less energy than visible light. Seriously, they just don't have the muscle to alter your DNA. So that whole cancer link, total myth.
And here's the real kicker. You know what actually kills nutrients? Heat and time. The longer you cook something, the more vitamins you lose. And because microwaves are super fast, they actually end up preserving more of those delicate vitamins, like B and C, compared to, say, reheating on a stove. So it's literally the opposite of what everyone thinks.
Okay, what about the fridge? There's this myth that it somehow destroys the nutrients in your food. Nope, not true at all. The biggest hit to nutrients happens when you first cook the food. Your fridge is just keeping it safe. So storing leftovers isn't just okay, it's a smart thing to do. Way better than wasting food or ordering takeout, right?
And non-stick pans. This one freaks a lot of people out. But look, the coating, that PTFE stuff, is what we call chemically inert. It doesn't react with anything. In fact, it's so safe and non-reactive that they use the exact same material for medical implants like heart stents. So if a tiny piece flakes off into your food, it just passes right through your body. The finished product you have at home is totally safe.
All right, so we've debunked the myths about our kitchen gear. Now let's talk about what we're actually putting in those pots and pans. This brings us to section 2, the superfood scam, where we're deconstructing the whole idea of a perfect meal.
This quote right here is everything. In food, there are no superfoods or supervillains. You really need to let that sink in. The whole idea of a single miracle food, it's just marketing. It's a scam. Real health isn't about one magic ingredient. It's about the big picture, the balance of everything you eat. Let's take a perfect example, turmeric. Everyone thinks it's this amazing superfood. And in small amounts, in your food, it's great. But then you see people chugging turmeric water every single day because they think more is better. Well, it's not. Too much can actually lead to things like liver damage. The dose makes the poison, and that's true for almost everything.
Or how about spinach? We all think Popeye, iron strength, right? And yeah, it's good for you. But if you go overboard, especially with raw spinach and smoothies every day, you're setting yourself up for an increased risk of incredibly painful kidney stones because of something called oxalates. So again, it's all about balance, not just cramming in one healthy thing.
And that leads us perfectly into the whole detox industry. You see all these juices, teas, and cleanses, right? Here's the truth. You already have the most incredible detox system built right into your body. It's called your liver and your kidneys. They are absolute powerhouses. All that other stuff, it's just expensive marketing that, frankly, your body doesn't need. Okay, let's move on to our third section, our ancestors' diet deception. I'm sure you've heard this a million times. My granddad ate ghee every day and lived to be 95. It's a nice thought, but the logic is actually completely backward. There's a name for this logical trap. It's called survivor bias. Basically, we're so focused on the one person who survived and lived a long life that we completely ignore all the people from that same generation who, well, didn't.
And, I mean, let's just look at the numbers. We tend to look at the past through rose-tinted glasses. But in 1947, the average life expectancy in India was less than 40 years old. Under 40! That's because so many people died from things we barely worry about today, like infections, because we have vaccines and antibiotics.
So that grandparent who lived to be 95, they were basically a genetic superstar who won the survival lottery. But there's another huge piece of the puzzle, their lifestyle. They were physically active all day long in ways that we just aren't. Our lives are mostly sedentary, so you can't just copy their diet and expect the same results. It doesn't work that way.
All right, this is where things get really fascinating. Let's zoom out. Section 4, History on your plate. We're going to see how things like famine and inequality from centuries ago are still shaping our health today.
Think about it for a second. Why is so much of our traditional food so complex, so elaborate? It takes hours to make with fresh masalas and components for every single meal. Have you ever wondered why that is?
Well, the answer isn't just about taste. It's about history and sociology. You really only get that kind of elaborate food culture when two things are present. First, huge income inequality, where a rich class can afford to pay people to just cook and experiment all day. And second, huge gender inequality, where women were simply expected to spend their entire lives in the kitchen.
Now this is mind-blowing. Our ancestors went through periods of terrible famine. The ones who survived were the ones whose bodies were amazing at one thing, storing fat efficiently. It was a survival superpower. But fast forward to today, we live in a world of abundance with calories everywhere. And those same thrifty genes that saved our ancestors, they've become a huge liability, putting many of us at a much higher risk for things like diabetes. It's history living inside ourselves.
Okay, so after all that, what's the takeaway? What are we supposed to do? The point isn't to give you a new list of rules, it's to change your mindset. Forget good foods and bad foods. Instead, think about a balanced plate. Make sure you're getting enough protein, because a lot of our traditional diets are low in it. Use those modern kitchen tools to save time, and remember that leftovers are your friend, often way healthier than ordering out. It's your whole lifestyle that matters, not one single choice.
So maybe the question we should be asking is this: what if the most important ingredient isn't actually on your plate at all? What if it's in your history? Because when you understand the science, when you understand your family's story and your ancestors' struggles, that's when you get the power to make genuinely better choices for your own future.